correctly fill a sandbag and put it into place can be the difference between success and failure when it comes to levee building.
Got a small cross-section of a levee that we've constructed here. The rule of thumb that we recommend is for a sandbag levee, just like an earthen levee, to be 3 times as wide as it is high. So if you're going to build a 3-foot high sandbag levee, we'd like to see that thing about 9 feet wide. We understand that because of manpower and resource needs and time constraints, that's the optimum. And anytime we see a flood, often we see levees that aren't quite built like that. But that's what we'd like to recommend is 3 times as wide as it is high. And then if you have to make it a little bit smaller than that, you have to do so. Obviously you got to get the protection in place before the water comes. When we lay the bags, again, we have these bags that are half to 3/4 full. We lay them with the flow. So if the river's flowing from my back to my front this way, we want to lay the bag with the open end with the flow. So we'll go ahead and lay a few bags on top of this one and show you that the bag will lay in there just like this. We leave the open end downstream and it settles nicely into some of those spots. And that'll fill in the voids. And of course the width of the levee gives us a number of things. It gives us a much longer seepage path because any levee will seep. It doesn't matter if it's a dam built to hold back a lake or an earthen levee or a plywood levee or a sandbag levee. Water's going to get through it. So what we want to do is get the sandbags down on the bare ground and get them laid in a good cross section. And then for extra protection against seepage in a sandbag levee, we'd like to put plastic. We recommend putting plastic over every sandbag levee that's ever constructed. And how we do that is you get the plastic and you lay it down first here, and you put your first row of sandbags on your water side on the plastic in order to anchor it down. And then we'll pull the plastic up over the top. We'll still see some seepage underneath the levee as it gets underneath the plastic and moves through, but this protects, it gives a solid barrier against the water. And so you've got even another line of defense against water getting through your levee. What we found is putting poly over the top of your levee like this will reduce the seepage through your levee 60 to 70%. Once we get the plastic over the top, we want to anchor it down so the wind or something else doesn't blow it and kind of ruin our efforts. So we'll put sandbags either on the top or on the back side in order to anchor this plastic in place and keep it there. You're always going to be pumping on the back side of the levee some seepage, and the more you can keep the water out, the less pumps you have to maintain, the less concern we have with water getting near the structure we're trying to protect.
When covering your levee, use heavy plastic. Plastic is measured in mils. A 6 mil plastic is recommended.
We constructed a small cross section here approximately 3 feet high. We probably didn't even get our 9 feet at the base. We only are at about 7.5 to 8 feet. But it does allow a very long seepage path, which is better. It allows for those bags that are only half full to settle into those voids and to really give us a good seal. It also allows that if the water level forecasts were raised, that you can get on this levee, and even though you lose the good side slopes, you can raise this levee quite a bit and still have good protection, probably another foot, foot and a half, 2 feet. Over here we have a levee that you see probably more often during an emergency because of the limits in time and the limits in manpower and resources, not having enough bags or sand. Homeowners will stack these up, and they're only too wide here. You can see it's the same, approximately the same height as the levee we just showed you. The seepage path is very narrow, so you're going to have an awful lot of seepage to manage, and that means more pumping, a lot more pumping behind the levee. Once the water gets up on this, the force of it, these bags will slide, and the water has a tremendous amount of force when it gets up against these. This bag here, you can see it wouldn't take very much to push that and allow it, and it'll just slide, and it'll just slide right off, and that's what will happen on your levee too. The last thing that's very bad about this is if your water levels did raise, if the forecast was to raise the river level, that you really don't have much of anywhere to go. You don't have those side slopes to build up a nice higher levee, that you only could probably place a bag or two on top of this, and that would be very iffy if you could get much more protection from a levee like this.
4 feet is the maximum recommended height for a sandbag levee. Anything higher will increase the potential for failure.